I am here to show you how to kill a tier 4. Now, I will be honest, my level is quite high, so my health would be very high. My base stats are also very high, so this might not reflect the full extent, like what is actually expected of you. But I'm just doing this because I'm annoyed at trying to get a judgment core, and I just want someone else to do it, and that someone else knows who they are. So there are two options you can do. You can either get an E-drag. It doesn't necessarily matter for it to be legendary, or you could get a enderman, which has a skin, so I don't know what it looks like. Yeah, you can get an enderman. I'm not sure if an epic works. I think an epic works just fine, but you usually, yeah, an epic works just fine. You can either have an epic or a mythic one, but an epic works just fine. I've said that 3 times. That's crazy. But essentially, the idea is that it doesn't matter however you deal the damage, right? You gotta at least be able to probably one-shot those things to make it at least like 2-minute bosses. I believe when I was just kind of doing this, it was around about 2-minute bosses. You're obviously gonna use a lot of soul flow, so you're gonna wanna have a lot. This will actually spawn the boss. Okay, so you will want to have a decent amount of magical power. I imagine 700, or I think 700 would be a good starting point. You want to use Itchy because the bonus attack speed is really what gets you there. And then for the tunings, use whatever you are lacking, such as crit damage or strength. If you're lacking strength, do strength. But I'm lacking crit damage, so I'm doing crit damage. If you don't have much intelligence, you could use like Smarty Pants or something. But essentially, you're going to want wisdom. Refrigerate is very, very powerful. If you can't tank even with a lot of things, then yeah, use refrigerate. So you're also going to need an orb, preferably an overflux. You're going to need a Reaper Scythe or summoning anything summons, and obviously an atom split. So you'll start off like this, and then you'll want a Soul Whip with Venomous and Mana Steel. Venomous will keep stacking as you use it during the laser phase. So as you can see, I'm using summons to get rid of the hits phase. You don't need a Terminator, but Terminator is much, much faster. The reason why I'm going for Judgment is because of other things. But yeah, so essentially, it's this loop of, hey, I'm just taking down the damage, and then get rid of at least one head, is what I'd say. And then if you are willing to do it, swap like this, and there you go. So that was me just doing it. And you saw exactly what I was doing. Now, you don't need a Hyperion. You can do this without a Hyperion. The reason why I was using the Hyperion was because I've noticed the boss will actually deal quite a bit more damage once it comes out of the laser phase. So what I tend to do is I have the Hyperion on F. So I press F and it goes to my Hyperion. I press G, it goes to my Soul Whip. And then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 are easy to access for me. So G and F for these two, and then since I'm not using the overflux that much, I don't have a hotkey for this. If you're using NEU, and you do want to have like some form of swap, any swap, what you do is you have to enable binding. So enable slot binding, and then I think like you have to enable, yeah. slot locking as well. So what you would do is I switch my rod with my Reaper Scythe and my Daedalus Axe with my Wand of Atonement. And then I can use it like that. The reason why you don't want to do like Soul Whip is because, of course, the last laser phase, you want to keep that venomous stacking. So then, when you do swap to the Daedalus, you don't have to do a whole lot to actually get it to die. Because the reason why I can swap so easily is because of venomous. Anyway, I'm going to do another boss to show you kind of, to give you another idea of how you're really supposed to be doing this. Right? Now, I will note I also do have an Ender artifact, but you can do this without the Ender artifact and just with Refrigerate. It's that strong. And obviously, most people will be using an epic enderman anyway. So I deal 800s and 70k with the enderman. But obviously, you don't need to deal 870 damage with it. You'll probably not. I imagine most will probably be dealing 500k. Even though I did just say have at least enough damage to one-shot these things. I'm saying, like, if you want at least decent times of those, then you want to have that. I know 2 minutes for a lot of people isn't that much. Like, it's really, really shit. But that's like people in like Crimson Armor. Now the thing is, Crimson Armor can do this really easily. Anyway, let me just show you there again. Summons. I use Terminator, but you don't need to use Terminator with explosive arrows. Again, use Soul Whip. I use Hyperion to get to that because of the absorption I get from my Hyperion. With the Hyperion essentially just allows you to think less, right? Is I can just do this, I can take the hit from the laser, and I have no problems. As you can see, I think I'll do one more just to hammer home exactly what I'm doing. Because, you know, repetition is a very good thing. If you don't get it down first thing, don't worry about it, because you're going to be doing a lot of it, right? And if you're having trouble, let's say you've done like 10 bosses, you're having a lot of trouble, honestly, like, going to sleep and then coming back is a really good method of, like, getting good muscle memory. So, Overflux, Reaper Scythe, and then activate your Atom Split Katana, so then the Ferocity activates on the hits when you use the Terminator. Again, Soul Whip to keep the venomous. Hyperion if you have it, so you can get the extra survivability. I don't even need it, but sometimes your healing just goes out the window for no fucking reason. Like very rarely I'll have moments where I have Overflux, I have everything down, I have decent, like, pretty good refrigerate on, and it's like, well, why am I dying? So then you have to switch to Atonement a lot. So again, swap. I didn't swap correctly there, that was my fault. That's because I'm dealing so much damage that I just didn't swap fast enough. But yeah, these bosses, when you get the loop down, is really, really easy. I might actually do one more. The reason why is just so I go through it without talking. I know I could just cut this, but I don't have an editing software right now. I'm gonna do it in an area without someone here, just to have less confusion. As you can see, spawn summons, overflux, use atom split. Or if you don't have a Terminator, don't use the atom split. It's just a waste of soul flow. Summoning. There you go. So, I hope this helped. If you are having trouble with this, again, these are what my things look like. I don't really have much on this thing. As you can see, Hyperion, Overflux, obviously, and then these are just basic. This is what my Final Destination looks like. Honestly, like 25,000 kills, or maybe what's the other one above that? I mean, people can just buy this. I worked through it. I did forget to actually show this stuff, but again, you don't need this. You do not need this. You don't need to have all this stuff. Implosion Belt, if you're using Hyperion, helps a lot. So if you are using a Hyperion to spawn, then Implosion Belt is probably a requirement. But yeah, don't need this stuff. Refrigerate is honestly enough. I could have base level Crimson, and as long as I was maxing out my Refrigerate, I'd survive pretty easily. But then again, of course, I have E-Drag, I have Ender Artifact, I have all these things, but then again, people also have more survivability with the enderman. So just keep that in mind. I am very, very high level, but you should be able to do it with at least this basic strategy.